In this video, we're going to talk about adding the assignment tool to an AsULearn class. So here I am in an AsULearn class. I'm going to turn editing on. So I get my add an activity or resource option. I'm going to add that and click on assignment. And assignments are a great way to take a file up from students, whether it's a PDF of something they've written or other types of files that they produce. So this lets the student send it to you in a way that you can grade, give comments and feedback, and hand that back to them. To start with, I'm going to name the assignment. When you name the assignment, make sure that it matches what you have listed for this syllabus. This is also the name that will show up in the grade book since we'll be grading this. Next, I'm going to put in a description, and I want to note what I've written here for the description because when I show you how this is going to look like to the student, I want you to see where the description shows up as opposed to the activity instructions. So description is what we recommend using most of the time to tell the students what's to do. And here I have added some instructions for the students in the activity instructions, and these are going to appear in a different place than the description. The description is where most people write all of their instructions and what the assignment's going to do because it's a little easier to get to. Additionally, I can put files here. Here I'm going to add a sample PDF, but these could be Excel files or data files or any kind of file that you want the student to have while they're doing the assignment. Notice this is only for this assignment, and we have an option right here, only show files during submissions. So if I click this, the student will not be able to get to this PDF before they go to submit, and I'll show you why that's important here in a minute. But please keep in mind, students can download this file even if it's only during submissions, and be able to pass that around to other students. So it's not foolproof, but it's a way of restricting that slightly. Typically, I do not check this. I want them to be able to look at this. This could be an article or that type of thing. Availability. This allows submissions from, and this gives the date when it opens to the students. If I uncheck that, then it will automatically be open as soon as I hit save. Due date is when it is actually due. Students can continue to turn in assignments after the due date. It will just mark how much time has lapsed since the due date. So if you want your students to be able to continue to turn them in, then you leave it like this. There's a due date, and it'll say this is 1 hour late, this is 2 days late, that type of thing. The second one down here, cutoff date, stops submissions. So if we set these at the same date and the same time, then when the due date arrives, students will no longer be able to submit assignments at all. So those are two different ways of handling it. Due date is when it's due. Cutoff date is when the computer will stop accepting submissions for this. There is a little remind me to grade that'll send you a little thing that says, hey, the due date has changed or gone past. Do you want to start grading these? You can use those and get a little message that says they're ready to be graded. Time limit, if I enable this, this will let them, from the moment they click start submission, they will have a limited time to actually submit the file or the assignment. So think of this more like a quiz. This plays into this show files only during submission process. So if you want them to have a limited time and you want this file to only be available so they have 20 minutes, say, to read the article and reply to it, that would be the combination you would use for that, is show file only during submission and limit the time to, say, 20 minutes. Typically, most faculty do not do this. Assignments tend to be more like homework or essays, which are longer term processes. I can come down here and we look at submission types. What do you want them to submit? We have two options here: online text and file submissions. File submissions obviously is they are creating some sort of file. It can be an ArcView for maps. It can be an Adobe file. It could be a Word document. It could be a PDF. But they are creating a document for you and turning that file in. Online text will give them a area to type in, and that they type their answers directly here. So this could be good for like a journal or that type of thing. You can give it a word limit. If we click here, we can say no more than 200 words, 500 words, whatever. We're going to do file submissions. We can control the max number of files uploaded. So let's say we want to give them two. One is a backup. We can say what's the maximum size limit. 800 megs is a massive file. You probably won't need something like that big. So let's say we do 20 megs. And we can limit to the accepted file types. This is going to come in later when we're looking at some other things, but I could put .doc here, .pdf, .txt, whatever file type. This is really helpful if you're having them write text and you get the specific file type back that you want, not just randomly some sort of odd word processor or something like that. I like using PDFs here because if we go back to the next piece, which is feedback type, one of the options is annotate PDF. So AsULearn has a tool built into the assignment function where if they turn in a PDF, I can make comments directly into that. So I get a set of tools that I can make comments, draw, that type of thing on their PDF in the assignment, and then they can see that feedback directly. So if you're giving them PDFs, I highly recommend using the annotate PDFs. If you are not using PDFs, turn this off and it'll clean up your grading screen a little bit and not show you some of the options. Feedback comments you can also do, but if you do annotate PDF, you really don't need these other two here. If you're giving them some other file types, then I would take PDF off, and then we have other options here for what they can produce and how you can give feedback to those. Comment inline is only used if you've got the online text. So if you're using online text, comment inline you can set to yes, and you can type text within their text, so you can add comments into the text file. Not as slick as using annotate PDF. This is a much larger tool set for you. Submission settings require students to click the submit button. If you say this to yes, when they first put the assignment up, they post a file, they post text, it will not be ready for them to grade until they hit submit. So this is a way for them to work on something, come back to it later. They can continue to work on it until they're ready to show it to you. The downside of that is if they do not click the submit button, it does not submit it for the faculty to grade. You will have to log in as the student and hit submit. If it's after the time limit, it's going to show you that it's been done late. Most people do not click the submit button, do not require the students to do that, so that they don't have to worry about that hassle. Require that students to accept the submission statement. I promise not to cheat. So I'm going to say that to yes, so you can see what that looks like. You can give additional attempts, and so there's manually give them or automatically until they meet a certain passing grade. And so you can play around with those. There is a group mode for assignment, and we'll talk about that in a different video, but you can let the students work on an assignment together and upload one file or one document or some text as a group. You give one grade and it goes out to all those students within those groups. You can, if you have graders set up, most people don't do that. You can notify the graders about submissions, that is like TAs grading, and you can set whether the students get notified when you grade. Now you can still, once you grade, there's a little button to check that says notify students. This is just the default setting, so by default it wouldn't send them that until you click that button. There is a Turnitin plagiarism plugin for this, so it will search for originality, just like if you were using a Turnitin assignment, which is a separate tool. But for this one, you can get that originality report back from Turnitin. We have grades, just like you see in other areas. This has a grading guide and a rubric that you can do within, and there's an entire video on how to use the grading guide and the rubric, or you can, of course, use simple direct grading. These are very powerful for assignments, and I do like using those. You can obviously use different types of points, just like you do in other areas. You can set a grade to pass, and that relates back to this require additional attempts. So automatically until grade pass would relate to that number there. You can do blind grading. You can grade height or identity, and you can in blind grading, what it's going to do is it's going to take the student's name off there. And it's not perfect. There are ways around it, but it does a pretty good job. If you want to grade the papers without seeing who did it, obviously, if you're going to do that, make sure you have the students not put their name in the assignment itself. Additionally, we have some of those normal common module settings, restriction access, and those type of things. So we're going to save and return to course. So here is our assignment. So if we click on that, this is what it's going to look like. And notice this is the description. This is what this tells the student. Remember, that was that first field. Here's that document that I put in there so they could read an article, for instance. Notice that in this particular case, I didn't check the box to hide this ahead of time. So notice that the description is here, but the how-to document or how-to piece is not. That's only available when the student clicks submit. So here I am logged in as a student, and here's that homework 1 that I just created. So as a student, when I click on this, I see my description. I see that sample file. I see that no submissions have been made yet and it's not been graded. So if I click on Add Submission, the couple of things that we see, one, this is the activity instructions now appear under the description. So don't put the same text in both fields. It'll just look like it's duplicate. The description is available before submit. The activity instructions, remember how we separated those, are only available once I hit start submission. Here's that file. Here's that attestment to academic integrity, so I have to check that. And since this is a file, I'm going to use the same sample doc just so I don't have to do another one. But as a student, I would drag this PDF in here and hit Save Changes. So I have submitted for grading, and if you ever wonder if a student says, oh, I submitted it, if they don't see this, they did not submit it. Because the deadline is not passed, I can still edit my submission. I can remove submission, which would delete this file and let me put another one in the place. If I edit submission, remember we gave these 2 files, so we would be able to go back and do that. So here I am as the instructor. I'm going to go back into that assignment and look at View All Submissions. And here Homer Simpson has made a submission. If I go, and I can just grade it directly from here, so I could download this file. I could put my grade 0 to 100 here. I can put comments there. If I go into grade, because I said comments and a feedback file. I can, again, put comments here. I can upload a file, so I could download whatever file they have. I can look at it, make changes, and I can put it back up here. And I can put a grade in the grade book. I'm going to pause that for a second, and so now I'm going to go into settings for the assignment. And I'm going to go down here to feedback types, and I'm going to check off these two, and I'm going to go to annotate PDF, save and return to course. And since that student did turn in a PDF, I'm going to go back to that, view all submissions, and I'm now going to look at Homer with those changed. So notice now this screen is different. It opens that PDF and it gives me a whole series of tools up here for things that I can do. There's highlighting, lines, boxes. I can put in a comment, and all types of things, and I can still put the grade in there. So if you're doing PDFs, this tool is available. Works very, very well. Hope that helps.